Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. First off, Happy New Year's Eve and Happy New Year to many of you out there already. Just want to say thank you for the support as always for this wonderful year. We'll do a recap one of these days here in January and we'll talk about some fun stuff on the channel. But with that, I just want to truly say thank you. Appreciate everyone's support. But while you're here today, we have MetaMaster Mythras here bringing you our weekly Friday night meta, the last finale one here of the year. So, and on top of that, closing out our December season, so we can see where everything landed, which is pretty cool here. So wanted to wait, get that out for you here today. But thank you as always. So appreciate you tuning in. Flip me that like. You know the drill. If you got a question, if you got a comment, let me know down below. Feel free to hop in that Discord server. Lots of folks, lots of chatting going on, and lots of great ways to stay up to date on things here on the multiverse. Last but not least, in the description, you will find today's timestamps. I break down standard, historic, alchemy, and historic brawl, and we talk about a couple key events and things that are going on here. So appreciate that. Again, thank you, Planeswalkers. Feel free to drop a sub if this is your first time around. Love to see you again. On top of that, other great ways to stay in tune, in touch with all things here on the multiverse. So with that, here's what we got going on. Standard best of one, add an aggregate. Mono white aggro closes things down, followed by mono black control, mono green stompy, goblins popping in there, and a host of other things. Mono white aggro, 28% of the meta. Absolutely crazy. Mono green has fallen off there, beginning from where we were at. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how things have shifted. You can really see these pickups here, bam, twice in terms of what's happening. Just a massive run there. Very, very impressive. Then when we look at win rates, we see some of those drops, but again, they kind of course correct. But as you can see, mono white slowly kind of came down here over time. Everything else is also in a slight downward trajectory, which is pretty interesting to see some of those course corrections there over the course of the past month and as these sets have been released. Now let's go ahead and look at the more competitive space. So at platinum here, again, still dominating, mono black control, dimmer control not doing well. A lot of people playing this deck though, so don't let that turn you off by any means, and particularly in best of three, run into it quite a bit. So again, here's the further breakdown in terms of the competitive scene, echoing what we saw at the other slice there. So that is the best of one. We're going to go through and we'll look at each of these, but in particular, we certainly want to make sure that we take a look here at the competitive scene as things kind of shut down. So there we see zombies, a little bit higher goblins in there, Rakdos vampires peeking in at gold, then we get to platinum. Again, things changing up here, mono black control doing well, Gruul werewolves at the bottom of the list. Let's go to diamond here, everything's at positive. Orzhov control taking it down though, and is it turns close on the backs of that mono white aggro. Then we get to mythic. Here's what we got going on. Mono green stompy is actually the best deck at mythic. We got mono white aggro, we got Jeskai turns, is it turns, Rakdos control in there, Orzhov control, Gruul werewolves, and mono black control, but still 32% of the meta on mono white aggro, 10% plus on is it turns. So very, very incredible there. So that wraps standard best of one for December and for 2021. So let's go ahead into best of three here. So mono green stompy, again, taking on the meta, shutting things down, 23%, followed by is it turns at about 20. Is it turns is right around 51%. Rakdos vampires and dimmer control in there, but sub 50% wins. We got Jund mid-range, mono black zombies, and mono black aggro in that space. So very, very interesting mix in terms of what we see in the top end, heavily dominated by those three decks, which is fairly interesting, but again, something that we've seen for some time now. Now, as we look at what's happening, a few more movements given some of the tournament play and things that we've seen here. Mono green stompy again going up, mono white dropping off. Is it turns creeping back in there? Again, win rates kind of going steady Eddie, except greens had some really nice pops there. So that is what best of 3 looks like at aggregate. Let's go into the more competitive scene. Pretty much the same. We just see a little bit of the change up here at the top end in terms of what has been played. All right, so let's go ahead here. It feels like that's off. Anyway. Maybe it's like that. So in terms of what's been played here, we'll go ahead and look at each of these breakdowns for you here today. Again, typically we don't see this until we hit gold, really. So again, 3 key decks being played there in silver. Again, lots of things moving around, lots of mono black aggro. Here we begin to see a lot of things changing. Platinum, John midrange. I know a lot of you in the Discord have been playing that. Additionally, here we got Diamond with mono green Stompy, mono black aggro, John midrange, mono black zombies, everything else kind of falling out. And then Mythic, any surprises? Boom. Mono green Stompy still dominating Mythic. We got mono white aggro followed by Is It Turns. Mono black zombies doing fairly well. Is It Dragons still doing really well. So very, very tight at the top. Again, very, very healthy win rates there when we look at that Mythic scene. So that closes out Mythic for us for December and 2021, and best of 3 by standard terms is what I meant. So let's go ahead and look at Alchemy. So Alchemy's been grounded here in controversy. I think many of us have moved past that. I know a lot of us like to play this now. Certainly lots of chatter again in the Discord server. So thank you, everyone. Lots of cool decks that we get to showcase and see and play. Looking forward to more Alchemy as we move into 2022 here. But with that, here's where this finished in terms of best of 1. At an aggregate, we got Boros Dragons, Esper Party, Orzhov Clerics, Mono Red Dragons, Azor's Control, Green Stompy, Wolves, and Vampires. So again, being dominated by those tribal decks that we discussed. In particular, we did a lot of that dragon stuff. Again, win rates are starting to hug pretty tight. Again, similar to what's being played in the meta, pretty tight. Typically, again, that means things are pretty healthy and we got a pretty diverse set of what's happening here, which is great. So then as we look at Platinum, if you see a couple minor tweaks, that's about it. And then similar trends there as we get to the competitive scene. So let's go ahead and drill into each of these one by one. Again, most of this is going to get picked up at more of the competitive scene. So there's what you got going on. It's silver. I just want to say sliver. Then we got gold, Orzhov Clerics being the best deck. In platinum, we got mono white aggro, dragons in there. And then we get to diamond, things move towards Boros Dragons, and then followed by clerics and party. And then last but not least, when we get to mythic, dragons dominated mythic, followed by Orzhov Clerics and Esper Party. Again, this is being another kind of clerics version of decks. So very, very fascinating and fun to close out December, as well as our lovely 2021. All right, let's apply our filter. Let's go to best of 3. So Alchemy best of 3 here at aggregate. Mono green Stompy, mono red dragons, Boros Dragons, Orzhov Control, Gruul Werewolves, mono black Sacrifice, Rakdos Vampires, Is It Control. Certainly had some issues going out of the gate. Not a lot of players focused on this or playing, so it's good to see that we're getting some movement here. Mono green really pulling around well. We'll talk a little bit about some of that. I think some of that stuff has to do with some of the tournaments that certainly have been played. Let's move into the more competitive scene. We got platinum staying the same. So let's go ahead and drill into each of these. Again, we've talked about this. The queues take quite a long time, but gave us a chance to play some of our own community members, which is great. We got Boros Dragons. So as you see platinum, you got mono black Sacrifice, Gruul Werewolves. People starting to play in the space. Diamond, no one playing in diamond. Then we get to mythic, not enough data either. So at an aggregate level, though, again, we did get enough data, but again, just not in some of that detailed space. So we'll continue to look forward to that. Maybe they'll become more popular here as we move into 2022. Historic, what do we got going on in historic? So best of 1 historic, we got our lovely Squirrel Twin, took down the Decathlon challenge with that. You can absolutely check that out. Followed by Mono Green Elves, Azorus Auras making a big comeback. We've talked about that. We ran that deck as well. And then you can see everything else here. We did the Golgari Food one. Selesnya Squirrels are really dominating at 15%. Everything else about half or less. You can see it just taking off here towards the end of the season. So a great win rates and very healthy deck. Let's look at the competitive scene in best of one. Still doing very, very well. Azorius Auras again being the one to really shut this down with the lovely, I'm gonna blank, Hushbringer. There we go, got it. Love that card. So there we go in terms of what's happening. So let's go ahead and break down each of these scenes because that's what we like to do. We got Izzet Phoenix at the bottom, Silver, Selesnya Squirrel Twin starting to show up, Elves, Jeskai Control popping in there. We got Angels in there, Mono Red Burn. Then as we move into Platinum, we got Selesnya Squirrel Twin still, Mono Green Elves, Jeskai Control. And then as we move into Diamond, here's what we got going on for Diamond. We got Mono Red Aggro, Azorius Auras, Selesnya Enchantress, Selesnya Squirrel Twin, and a host of other things. Last but not least, at Mythic, we will find ourselves with Jeskai Control, Mono Red Aggro, Rakdos Arcanist, Selesnya Squirrel Twin not doing as well, Azorius Auras, Mono Green Elves, Selesnya Angels, and 5-color Dragonstorm. So boom, now you can see a lot of that numbers playing out there. Still being heavily dominated by those three at the top there, or two even, but everything else being in that space. So let's pull back out. We'll move over to our best of three. Best of three, we find Golgari Food at the top. We got 5-color Niv, Azorius Control, Selesnya Squirrel Twin, Izzet Phoenix, Shamans showing up there, and Humans. Again, as we see a little bit tighter top end here, with 1 through 4 being Azorius Control being popular, down to our Rakdos Arcanist, Golgari kind of being in the middle of the pack, even though it's still doing very well in terms of win rate. Here you can see the climb and the changes. We got Azorius Control moving on there. Again, we can see this formation here with the Azorius Control moving on up, but also coming back down. So rather interesting in terms of what we have here for the end of December and 2021, my friends. So let's go ahead and move back up. This was the aggregate for us in best of three. Let's go ahead and move into the more competitive scene. Here's where we hit Platinum. Again, not too much changing. We saw a couple movements there, not a ton here on this side, but again, similar pathing and those things. So let's go work our magic and drill into each of these sections and kind of figure out what key changes, particularly at the top end, we might run into and see what's going on. And obviously we face the change up here with some of the alchemy pieces. So we got Platinum, again, moving first in our competitive scene and seeing a big uptick. A lot of people on that 5-color Niv. Then as we move into Diamond, we got Golgari Food, Azorius Affinity being in there, Azorius Control, Selesnya Humans, and Izzet Phoenix not performing well. We got the Sacrifice decks, Jund and Rakdos in there, and Golgari. Well, and Rakdos Arcanist can act as sacrifice deck. Then last but not least, let's move into Mythic. Mythic here, Izzet Phoenix is actually dominating right now. We have Jund, Sacrifice, 5-color Niv, Selesnya Humans all the way down there. That Golgari Sacrifice deck or food deck not really being played, at least from what we can see in terms of the statistics here. So rather interesting. Again, Azorius Controlled and Izzet Phoenix being the key pieces there in the meta for best of three, my friends. So that is historic at its finest and fullest snapshot here for our 2021 and end of December season. So last but not least, let's check out our historic brawl, because I know many of you really enjoy this. Look at that, Zika, God of the Tree, only 41%. You guys really like playing that. And it's played right in the middle. But anyway, here's what we got. Nicol Bolas Dragon God pulling in to what we have going on here in the meta. We haven't seen that one yet, so it's great to see that. Kinnan still dominating, Helana and Alina partners still in there as well. We can see a lot of these changes happening. Sithis, Harvest Hands falling off. We see that the first sliver there being picked up in terms of what people really enjoy playing, popularity, and then we can see these win percents. Kinnan coming back in that meta as Sliver kind of picks up, and then we see Helana and Alina partners falling off in terms of win rates, and then everything else kind of going sideways or slightly up. So that's our snapshot there for our historic brawl, my friends. So that closes out everything for us here in our December season in 2021. But before we do so, let's go ahead and check out some of the key events that we had here over the past week. So first off, we had $100 cash good game tour at Arena Alchemy. So this is an Alchemy tournament that we have dominated by mono green aggro, mono red dragons, mono red aggro, mono red dragons, Boros dragons. So lots of fun here in terms of what we have going on. Let's go ahead and check out the rules. This is best of 3 matches and then cut to a top 8. So again, mono green aggro. So we saw that coming out of, and we'll come back here because I do want to show this, coming back out of what we had going on best of 3. So boom, boom. So that's a key indicator right there, my friends, in terms of what happened and some of that popularity. Then last but not least, we got another one here with 5 color wheel, I believe. And here's what we got going on. 5 color hub, sorry. Here's what we got going on. This one was a, did I miss it? Standard tournament. We got Esper Control taking it down, followed by Mono White Aggro, Colorless Epiphany. There you go. Mono Black Control is it Epiphany, Jund Control, and then Mono Green in there as well. So a little bit more of a mix in terms of some of the things that we've seen for Standard. So very, very exciting there, my friends. So ultimately, again, we covered that. Let's go back to our standard view and kind of close things out here, Planeswalkers. So first off, again, huge thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode in terms of a look back and what we've had going on here, at least for the summer season, some of the trends and things for the latest sets. Really looking forward to. I'll try and do a recap here in the next few days of the channel and some of the fun things that we covered. Looking forward, moving forward into 2022, and truly appreciate all your support as always, my friends. So with that said, flip me that like for today's episode. Appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date. We got a lot more things coming your way, a lot of new things, hopefully. Love your feedback as always. Let me know down below. On top of that, feel free to hop in the Discord server. I'd love to see you there. So drop me that sub. Great ways to stay connected. Appreciate everyone's support. Thank you to the YouTube members and patrons and everyone else as well for the last this past year for 2021, and looking forward to 2022. So stay tuned, Planeswalkers. We got a lot of stuff coming our way. Top decks, weekly series, Friday Night Meta here, fast facts, tier lists, all sorts of things. So stay tuned. We'll see you in 2022. Take care. Stay safe. Happy holidays and happy new year, and welcome 2022. Mythras out.